May stood at the edge of the dense forest, her heart pounding in her chest as she stared at the invisible line marking the border of her old pack's territory. The towering trees seemed to loom over her, their branches heavy with the weight of memories she had tried so hard to forget. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, to run far away from the place that had once been her home. But there was no escaping the pull of the past, or the promise of safety that lay just beyond the border. She took a deep breath, the cool night air filling her lungs as she stepped forward, crossing the line that separated her from the life she had left behind. Each step felt like a betrayal of the woman she had become, the one who had sworn never to return. But she had no other choice. The wounds from her last escape were still fresh, and her heart was too battered to keep running. This was the only place left where she could hope to find some peace. As she moved deeper into the territory, the familiar sense of pine and earth filled her senses, mingling with the underlying tang of a wolf. Her wolf. It stirred restlessly within her, a mix of anxiety and anticipation that mirrored her own emotions. May had been away for so long, trying to forget the pain of Ryan's rejection and the humiliation of that night. But the closer she got to the heart of the pack, the harder it was to keep those memories at bay. She wrapped her arms around herself as if that could shield her from the cold wind and the even colder thoughts that swirled in her mind. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves made her flinch, her heightened senses on high alert. She was just another wolf, one among many, but the fear of being recognized, of being pulled back into the life she had tried to escape, gnawed at her. What if they knew? What if they remembered? The thought of facing those judgmental eyes again, of being whispered about behind her back, made her stomach twist with dread. But she had come too far to turn back now. She needed time to heal, and this was the only place that offered her even the slightest chance of that. May kept her head down as she moved through the underbrush, the moonlight filtering through the trees, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out and grab at her. Her heartbeat was loud in her ears, each thud a reminder that she was still alive, still vulnerable. The pack's territory felt different, the energy more charged, more alive than she remembered. It made her uneasy, like a deer caught in a predator's sight. But she forced herself to keep moving. She couldn't afford to be weak. Not now. But it wasn't long before she felt it. A shift in the air, subtle but unmistakable. Her wolf stirred again, more urgently this time, as if sensing the presence of something familiar. Or someone. Ryan. May froze, her breath catching in her throat. She could feel him, even before she saw him. The bond they shared, the one she had tried so desperately to sever, thrummed to life inside her, a live wire of emotions that she couldn't control. Panic welled up within her, mixing with the unresolved anger and hurt that she had buried deep. She wasn't ready to face him, not yet, maybe not ever. But it was too late. His presence washed over her like a tidal wave, overwhelming her senses. She could almost see him in her mind's eye, tall, powerful, with those piercing blue eyes that had once looked at her with something like love, before they had turned cold and unyielding. Her wolf howled inside her, both in longing and in pain, and she had to fight to keep it at bay. Ryan was close, closer than she had anticipated. Her heart pounded even faster as she realized he would know she was here. There was no hiding from him now. Her only hope was to blend in, to slip through unnoticed. But her mind screamed at the impossibility of that. Not with him. He would always find her. Ryan's wolf stirred as well, a low growl vibrating through his chest as he patrolled the borders. He had been restless for days, ever since the full moon had passed, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. His pack was quiet, the night still. But his instincts told him otherwise. There was a scent in the air, faint but growing stronger, and it tugged at something deep inside him. It was familiar, maddeningly so. A scent he hadn't caught in years, but one he could never forget. His wolf surged forward, pushing against the boundaries of his control as the realization hit him like a thunderbolt. Mai. The name echoed in his mind, a mix of regret, longing, and something darker that he couldn't quite name. He had known she would return one day. His wolf had never stopped searching for her, yearning for her. But he hadn't expected it to be now, and the shock of it sent a jolt through his entire being. Ryan inhaled deeply, the scent of pine and earth laced with the unmistakable essence of her. She was close, too close, and the wolf inside him roared with the need to find her, to claim her. But there was no room for hesitation, not with everything that had happened between them. His mind raced as he tried to understand why she had returned, what she wanted, but the primal need to see her, to touch her, drowned out all rational thought. His body moved on instinct, driven by the bond that connected them, the one he had tried so hard to sever, but had never truly been able to break. The pull was stronger than ever, an invisible thread drawing him closer and closer to the woman who had once been his, and who, despite everything, still haunted his dreams. Mai felt him approaching, her heart a wild drumbeat in her chest as she tried to steady her breathing. The forest around her seemed to close in, the shadows deepening as the reality of the situation hit her. She wasn't ready to see him again. Not like this. Not when she was still so broken. But there was no turning back now. Ryan was coming, and she could only hope that the years and the distance had dulled the intensity of their connection. But even as she thought it, she knew it was a lie. The bond between them was as strong as ever, if not stronger, and she had no idea how she would survive facing him again. The moment Ryan stepped into the clearing, his eyes locking onto hers, time seemed to stop. The world around them faded away, leaving just the two of them standing in the moonlight, bound together by a past that refused to be forgotten. For a brief moment, neither of them moved, the air thick with tension and unspoken words. Ryan's gaze was intense, burning with something that Mai couldn't quite place. Anger, desire, and regret, all swirling together in those blue depths. Her breath hitched as she felt the full force of his presence, the raw power that he exuded as both a man and a wolf. It was overwhelming, intoxicating, and she hated herself for the way her body responded, for the way her heart still yearned for him, despite everything he had done. He took a step forward, his voice low and rough when he finally spoke. Just that one word was enough to shatter the fragile composure she had been clinging to. Her name on his lips brought back a flood of good and bad memories, and she had to bite her lip to keep from crying out. Mai forced herself to stand tall, to meet his gaze head-on, even though every fiber of her being screamed at her to run. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. Not again. Not after all these years.
"I didn't come back for you," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. It was a lie, but she needed to believe it. "I'm just passing through." Ryan's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening at her words. He could sense the lie, but more than that, he could feel the pain she was hiding. The connection between them was too strong to ignore, no matter how much they tried. "You can't lie to me, Mi. I know why you're here." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. May's heart clenched as she realized that there was no escaping this. No escaping him. Not when their bond still tied them together, stronger than ever. And as much as she wanted to deny it, she knew he was right. There was no running from Ryan Shaw. Not anymore.